this is gonna work. Gluten-free baking. A new fad is sweeping the nation's fancier food stores. Gluten-free baking. Most people have never heard of gluten unless they've gotten wind of this trend. However, for those who are allergic to gluten, it's much more than a trend. People allergic to gluten abstain from eating it. They don't want it in the food. Abstain. Here's the new word. But I can guess that it means to eliminate, it means to prevent from eating it because they are allergic to it, so they can't not eat it, or else they will have that allergy, right? So yeah, it means to refrain. Okay, chances are I need to log in again because I don't know, but sometimes it happens. So yeah, it's real quick. So it means refrain. Actually, I've read it. It did not mean that I answered too fast. It means I've just logged in, so yeah, just a kind reminder. Okay. So let's continue reading. Yet they still like the taste of regular baked goods, so they turn to gluten-free baked goods, which look just like regular ones. Then, what makes them different? In order to understand the nature of gluten-free baked food goods, it is necessary to examine the nature of gluten itself. Gluten, often thought of as a matrix of scaffolding, is a protein present in wheat. In order to make flour, a necessary ingredient in almost any type of baking, one must grind up wheat. But when wheat is ground into flour, the gluten doesn't disappear. It's still there. So the challenge lies in the removal of gluten from wheat flour. Over the course of the passage, the author compares gluten to the scaffolding, glue. Let's continue reading. I think I need to read the whole passage so that I can answer this question because it said over the course of the passage. So until now, I think one is correct, but let's just continue reading. Unfortunately, it's impossible to remove gluten from wheat, but don't despair. Despair? Wait. Let me look it up. Despair means homelessness? That doesn't really make sense. Don't despair, so that means a verb, right? A verb. Yeah, a verb means to lose, to give up hope. Okay, many substitutes for flour exist, and since they aren't made of wheat, they don't contain gluten. These substitutes include rice, maizah, tapioca, and more. Flax meal, a very nutritious grain, can be used in a similar way as flour, though it has larger particles. Even beans can be ground up to make bean flour, also known as soy flour. Oats are yet another grain that can be grounded into flour. These flours do not contain gluten, and are therefore suitable to make gluten-free flour. But while there are many good substitutes, it is still important to be cautious. Some grains are closely related to wheat, and therefore also contain gluten. Rye is an example of grain which, genetically speaking, is too similar to wheat to be used in gluten-free baking. So that was easy, right? With so many available substitutes, who needs wheat flour anyway? But wait, not so fast. Remember that gluten is like a matrix similar to a three-dimensional grid. Without gluten, a cake would not have any structure and would not rise. Oh, that's where the problems begin. Because if you're allergic to wheat, so you need a substitute that does not contain gluten, right? But it turns out that your cake needs gluten in order to stand up, or else it will not have any structure. So grid here means matrix, a framework. Okay, so now I think I have 1 and 3. 1 and 3? It doesn't really make sense at all. Okay, let's go to reading. Remember that gluten is like a matrix similar to a three-dimensional grid. Without gluten, a cake would not have any structure and would not rise. Its ingredients, sugar, eggs, butter, and chocolate, would sit in a sad heap at the bottom of the pan. You'll be left with puddle, and you might as well have cooked a Mars bar in the oven. A baked good needs gluten for the ingredients to cling to, like vines on an arbor, so we'll assume the desired shape and structure. So even though we can find many good substitutes for wheat flour that don't have gluten in them, we still need to find something that will replace the function of gluten. We need a new matrix. When searching for a new matrix, though, it is important to consider how it will expand during the course of baking. How does a cake become big and fluffy? Flour certainly isn't big and fluffy, it is packed densely in a heavy sack. A cake only rises because a leavening agent is present in the batter. A leavening agent is any substance that leaven? Is it like a verb? The verb form of leave? Leaven means cause to rise by adding yeast or another leavening agent. Do you have like any ferment? Rise. Okay, you mean rise. Or make it rise by producing bubbles. Yeast and sodium bicarbonate making sodas are examples of leavening agents. They produce bubbles that get caught in the gluten matrix while the cake bakes. So similar to that inflation of fancy ale matches, the air fills the first section quickly. When that section is full, the air continues to fill the next section. This process continues until the matrix is full. The new matrix must be able to trap air in a way similar to the fancy matrix. This is the only way to make the cake rise. To form a matrix, we need the ingredients to stick together. This will ensure that they're leavened properly by the leavening agent. Certain ingredients called binders work like glue, similar to gluten. Okay, we have 1 and 2 now. And since glue sounds like gluten, it is also a very good way to think about gluten. Eggs are binders eggs are binders because a broken egg is sticky. Fruit is also often a binder. A very expensive powder called xanthan gum is a binder. You could guess that because chewing gum is sticky. Gum is not gum, okay? Other kinds of gums exist as well, such as gel gum and asha gum. These binders stick to each other and won't come apart when bubbles rise up to the batter. This means the batter will retain its shape. It won't cave it on itself like the Mars bar, and it won't fall apart. With so many binders, no one needs boring old gluten. You'll have invented a new and exciting matrix all on your own, and you'll be a friend to lovers of gluten-free baking. I think I am really wondered if matrix is actually building, because it does not have any matrix option here, but matrix is something like related to building. So I'm so freaking worried right now. Okay. Okay, I decided to not choose that, but that is so weird. Is there like a matrix? A building. Yeah, I think it's some kind of building, a framework, a structure. 1 and 3. I'm so scared, guys. 1 and 2. I knew it. According to the gluten is protein, flour, leavening agent, chamber, versal. Okay, gluten is a leavening agent. Not or nope. Some protein. In paragraph 6, the other tell us that flour certainly isn't big and fluffy. It sits and packed densely in a heavy sack. This statement is intended to illustrate the difficulties involved in handling large quantities of flour, emphasize the signs that flour needs something extra to make it expand. I think 2 is correct. Clarify the notion that baked goods that lack a leavening agent will not rise. I think that 2 and 3. I'm not really good at that kind of challenge question. Oh, turns out correct. That's cool. In pair of 6, the other compares fluid air matches to the. Okay, so this is to identify details. So I need to look through all this and find the other fluid air matches. Based on information in pair of 6, which of could be used as a leavening agent? Coca-Cola, orange juice, milk, iced tea. Leaven something or mix it rise by producing bubbles. I think Coca-Cola did have bubbles, right? Yeast and sodium bicarbonate, orange juice are examples of leavening agent. Bicarbonate means to a salt. Wait, what a yeast? Okay, it's just like a fungus. Here's the Vietnamese, in case you don't want to read a very long definition in English. I think Coca-Cola, right? I'm not really sure, but yeah. The other's tone can be better described as enthusiastic, matter of fact, sarcastic. Sarcastic means to no. Annoyed, no, definitely not. So D is not correct. Fanatical, zealous, filled with excessive and single-minded zeal. I think D and E is not correct. C is not correct either because, like, it is to tease someone. It's not correct. Enthusiastic, matter of fact, fanatical. But certainly not true here. Eager, keen. You have like two freaking definitions. How could I choose that? Matter of fact. Okay, whatever it is. Yup, I knew that. Don't despair. The use of exclamation points was excitement, enthusiasm. Oh, yeah. The passage ends on a very upbeat tone. Big note. All of this following lead us to understand that tone is enthusiastic. Okay. Yeah. Using a passage as a guide, which of the following recipes would make a successful gluten-free carrot cake? All-purpose flour, eggs, baking soda, sugar, chopped pineapple, carrot. I would use chopped pineapples for tapioca, soil and flax meal flour, oat flour, eggs, apricots. Oh my god, there's so many weird. Wheat flour is not true in this case, so we can delete remove E options. Apple sauce, typically sweetened, flax meal flour, apple sauce, and oat flour. Oh wait, we have that particular paragraph explaining all of these things, but I can't remember where it is. called centennial. Well, I have to admit that 10th grade reading passage is kind of really hard, requires a lot of logical thinking, and you need to really patient because looking through all these long passages to find that kind of detail, you know what I mean? Yeah, flax meal. I don't know what flax is, oat flour. I think steep it. Oh, yes, great. Okay, let's try another one. The Louisiana Purchase. Okay.